Hey there, guys. We now have the unit data for the Parasite Eve collaboration, Brea. And let me just say right away, they did not disappoint. This unit looks really good. Oh, I'm so happy about this. And I'm going to do my absolute best to not be biased because, as I've already said, I'm a Parasite Eve fan. But seriously, this unit seems really good. Oh my lord. Okay, so real quick, just before we get into the unit itself, we're going to talk about the vision card, the special vision card, the Blood Moon card. People were very curious, what is the LB modifier buff, etc. Basically, it's Titus STMR. It's only for 5 turns. It's literally the exact same thing as Titus STMR or Blades of Black Flame Reagan STMR. No, they will not stack. So the LB modifier buff is just another source of Titus STMR. So, nice, but nothing that special. Whatever. So the card is still really good because of the Dark Amp and all, but yeah, this is not like a new version of Cool Smile or something. Anyway, back to Brea. We are very excited about this, or at the very least, I am. So as far as categories, Clash of Wills, as expected. Also, these unknown tags, I think they said in the Datamine channel that these are, it's a new tag, therefore the wiki page is not handled for it yet. They're updating it. But this is supposedly Clash of Wills Earth tag, and in the shift form, Clash of Wills Fire tag. So that's kind of like a hint, very similar to Wondrous Lightning that did Clash of Wills Lightning and Wind. We're obviously getting in the near future Clash of Wills, or at some point in the future, Clash of Wills Fire and Earth, because she is getting the categories. But at the current time, there are no leaders for that. Anyway, let's go over the base form first. So as far as base stats go, relatively fine. She has slightly less attack power than a premium at 621 in the shift form. At 621 at maximum with full pots and all, but that's basically fine. Almost the same as a premium. True Brave Shift, some fire and earth resist. I think both forms are the same. Yeah, both forms are the same. Fire and earth resist, a little bit of innate. As far as status immunities go, all the important ones, blind is obviously a big deal, but she is immune to, honestly speaking, the most important status immunity is confusion, because confusion, if your unit gets confused, that can just really ruin your day. All the rest can be cured, etc., etc. But anyway, there it is. As far as equipment goes, not a huge selection. Unfortunately, she cannot use the Clash of Wills helm. And again, not the biggest deal. You can always just give her the equipment material. It's just, I like decking units out in the absolute best of the best. And on global, that means the Clash of Wills helm. She cannot use it by default, but whatever. And as far as her weapons go, you're always going to use the event gun for her. So, don't miss the event, or don't forget to farm the gun during the event. And there we go, and here's all the special stuff. Here's the special gun, Type 64, with her, it doesn't show it here, actually, the attack power. But this is actually not the upgraded version, so that's why it's not showing the attack power. Anyway, let's go over the kit. So this is the base form, and again, true Brave Shift, so both forms are always available on any turn you want. So the base form is honestly mostly a support and healer form. You're not really going to deal damage in the base form. While it does have some damaging moves, all the good damage is in the shift form. So basically the base form, you're going to gear for like high spirit and all that, and then you're going to go to the shift form and deal your real damage. And I love that. Like this is like a healer and damage dealer hybrid type done correctly. In the past they've if a unit has support and damage, they kind of water down both. Not this time. This is like a fully powered, good to go. So she has, I guess technically speaking, she's not like as good as a pure healer, because you'll see, but it's still really good. So re-raise and revive, single target only. That's what I'm talking about. Like true healers have AoE stuff. Hers are mostly single target for this kind of stuff. Still, single target, revive and re-raise. AoE healing, pretty standard modifiers, same as Melissa and all that. Fills the morale gauge and all when you do that. It also fills LB gauge 2 to all allies. Not the greatest, but it's a little bit. This move, you're probably going to rarely ever use this. Like, almost why would you? But it's there. Can't be multicast. This is a generic chaining move. This is mostly just to fill her LB gauge. So you can. She has kind of a thing like Richt, where you can LB, refill LB, repeat, etc., etc. She has triple cast at all times, and then here's a bunch of her cooldowns. This is a little wonky. So the way it works right here is these buffs are 4-turn cooldown, 3-turn duration. But if we pop down here, her haste skill reduces her cooldown timer by 1. So technically speaking, at least for most turns, it can be full uptime if you properly manage it. So you use haste to lower the cooldowns so that you can keep these going with full uptime. It's kind of interesting. Little bit of tedious micromanagement. You can probably, a single mistake and you'll like lose your uptime, etc. But as long as you properly plan out your turns, or just follow a turn chart, if you're just following the guide, these should be able to be maintained at full uptime. So the barrier is a big barrier, 15, not the hugest, 15,000 in Clash of Wills. Cures all ailments, gives you immunity to all statuses, immunity to all breaks. And again, this is really good in like Dark Visions. Dark Visions, you frequently do want either status or break immunity, and most units these days that are coming to Dark Visions are not going to be doing that. Aya can, and she does have good damage for Dark Visions and all. We're going to get to that in a minute. Also, on a 4-turn, or realistically a 3-turn cooldown, she can perfect dispel your whole party. So cure all debuffs from all allies. That's really, really nice. That's all imperils. That's things like Berserk. All debuffs, all the breaks, if you happen to get broken anyway, she cures it. 300 stat buff for all allies, 250 LB damage for the whole party, regeneration for the party, fills morale gauge as well. Haste is stop cure, stop immunity, 5-stack mirage for the party. Again, hugely, hugely helpful in Dark Visions. 5-stack mirage for the party. And it says 5 turns, but of course this always reduces its own cooldown. So this is actually a 4-turn cooldown. That's really good. That's really good. Parasite Energy Earth. So this is her base form. Her base form is the Earth form. So this gives her a 70x LB modifier to all LBs, universal. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. This is a little awkward, but we're going to talk about that more very soon. It imbues her with Earth, imperils Earth, and gives her an Earth amp. Earth is her secondary, not the greatest, but there it is. And here's her 100% Earth amplify, 90% mitigation, etc. And then the AoE 60% for the party. We're going to come back and talk a lot more about Parasite Energy Earth and what it means and ways that it can influence your team and all that. But we're going to come back to that a little bit later. Let's go over the rest of the kit first. Let's pop down here to the LB in the base form, Liberate. 35 gun imperil, she does have better in the kit. Whatever break. And then Earth Lock damage and AoE revive. So honestly speaking, you're never going to use this except for AoE revive. This is the only reason you'd ever use this. Her shift form LB is just straight up superior in every possible way. So you're never going to use the base form LB other than to watch the cool animation once or twice, or if you need AoE revive. Otherwise, you're never going to use the base form LB. So there you go. In Clash of Wills, we're going to come back to her passive. In Clash of Wills, she also has this. Necrosis, 8-turn cooldown. And remember, she can lower her own cooldowns, so it's actually shorter cooldown. Perfect dispel on an enemy and reduces healing amount by 50%. Now keep in mind, previously the only healing downs were on the Magnus of Melissa or the Magnus of Elispiris, and those are single use or maybe a double use. In any case, they're limited time. This one is a cooldown. So with this, and then if you really want to get crazy, with Melissa on the party to reduce cooldowns further, you can have literally full uptime of permanent, always healing down on the boss. That, depending on the boss, is either going to be amazingly powerful or irrelevant. It really depends on the boss. Only in Clash of Wills, but yeah, so if you remember, I forget when it was it the Ginger buff maybe? It's been a while, but there was a boss that in phase 3, the boss healed every single turn and like healed for a lot, and it was challenging. It was really challenging. So if that style of boss comes back again, permanent healing down reduction, with cooldown reduction, it kind of requires Melissa on the party to make it permanent. But yeah, that can be very, very, very powerful. Her normal attack is Demon and Human Mitigation AoE for the party. It's kind of whatever. You're not going to use that, honestly speaking. This mutated Mitochondria, this is autocast every single turn for her. So she always heals her MP and HP, LB gauge, and morale fill just for free every single turn, which is super, super cool. As far as her passives go, she has the 5 times chain cap. Naturally, at EX3, she gets another source of the chain. Nope, at EX2, I'm sorry, at EX2, she gets another source. So chain cap up here and chain cap right here. So she has the 6 times chain cap at EX2, basically for free. So you don't need to use any kind of like Magister's gear on her. You can spread that to the rest of the party. She has really good passives for attack and spirit. Basically almost auto caps without any kind of item world. So you can use your item world on like defense or mana regen or HP or whatever, because yeah, she doesn't really need any more attack or spirit, which is super, super cool. A lot of killers: insect, human, avian, beast, dragon, and demon. So that's 6 out of the 12 races, half the races, 200% killer for. Some double hands, some LB damage, etc. Just basically her stats are really good. And she has guts as well, naturally immune to stop and charm, 50% physical evasion, 15% MP regen, plus 10% more per turn. So realistically, 25% MP regen per turn. She's not going to have mana problems. And that's just really, really... And that's all the base form. We're not even to the shift form yet. Let's pop over to the shift form, which is her damage form. So her shift form has bolting and absolute mirror for chaining. As expected. Basically you're only going to use this to fill the LB gauge. Triple cast, fire buff in the shift form. So 60% permanent amplify, 135 in peril, a 150 fire amplify usable in dark visions. So we were kind of worried, maybe she doesn't have a dark vision to amplify. She does, right here. A modifier buff and 250 human and demon killer for herself. Zahn can steal it, etc., etc. Some modifier buffs, and then LB modifier buff for morale scaling. So up to 220x morale scaling on the LB. And then in the shift form, she also has, of course, we know the 180 fire amp only for Clash of Wills. And she has the healing down in shift form as well. And then the shift form LB is Extreme Nova, 40% gun in peril, with a 480 LB mod and a 680 in Clash, plus the cooldown, don't forget, of an extra either 140 in Dark Visions or 220 in Clash. Now let's look at some damage calculations. So let's go to Clash of Wills. Clash of Wills, right here, she's at the top by a pretty significant margin, like really at the top. Now this is using her 180 fire amplify, which is kind of cheating a little bit because she's the only one with the 180 fire amp. But even at 150, just for comparison's sake, she's still heavily at the top. A 900x LB will do that. That's really high, and she has good stats. She has good double hand, easy gearing, smooth rotation. She can be imbued. Her shift form LB is non-elemental, meaning you can go any element you want. So she'll be good on a wind team or a lightning team or a water team. She'll be good on any team you want as long as you give her the external imbue. Very, very, very nice damage in Clash of Wills. A lot of morale fill. Again, her base form, really good support. All these, 200s on the spammables, 500 on the cooldown. She's auto-casting morale at the start of the battle. She's auto-casting morale, every single turn. Like, she's a good morale battery. Good damage. Now, as far as Dark Visions goes, at the current time, she only has a 500 leader skill in Dark Visions, which would be Flaring Aether Rain for fire. Which is not the greatest, but, as we did see, that she does have these Clash of Wills Fire and Earth tags. So, in the future, at some point in the future, there is going to be a Clash of Wills Fire leader. The obvious one would probably be Locke, coming within a month or so, approximately, maybe a month and a half. In the future she'll get even better in dark visions. But as it is right now, she is pretty good up here. About the same as Rick. And keep in mind, Rick's using a 750 leader skill. This is her without a 750. This is with a 500 leader skill, and a 620 modifier in Clash of Wills. I'm sorry, in Dark Visions. And if she had a 750 leader skill, she'd be about where Addison Rae is. She'd be around here with a 750 leader skill. So once a 750 eventually comes around and buffs her in Dark Visions, she'll be really good. And keep in mind, in Dark Visions, she is using all kind of great support, like immunity buffs. She can cure your imperils, which is something Dark Visions bosses love to imperil you. She can cure them. She can 5-stack Mirage you in Dark Visions. Like, the unit just feels really good in both game modes, in both Clash of Wills and in Dark Visions, and I love that. And she's a true Brave Shift. She's not a trance, so therefore she has none of these irritating rotation problems. In like trials and stuff. Not that we have many trials coming on, but in trials and stuff, the LB is 480 plus if you use the cooldown. 480 plus 140 is, I already forgot, 620. 620 LB every single turn in trials, which is not every turn. Actually every 3-turn cooldown. Yes, that'd be every 2 out of 3 turns. Okay, so a little bit less than Rick in a trial. Still, really good, really good. Now, that's all amazing, and that's all great. Unit, really, really good. I am absolutely going to pull for her. I'm pulling for her. I'm going to get the card. I'm going to try to get EX3 before the collaboration ends, but of course that depends on luck if I get no copies. I hope not, but we'll see. Anyway, let's go back to the skill I mentioned earlier, the Parasite Energy Earth skill. So this one's a little strange. So right here, this LB modifier of 70x, this will stack with her other cooldown. So in Clash of Wills, she can actually go to 970 modifier, or in Dark Vision, she can go to 690 modifier. That's really good. So a 690 modifier plus a 750 leader skill, she'd be up here like beating Irving. She'd be literally one of the top units in the game with that. Now, here's the catch. The Parasite Energy Earth, this modifier is dispellable, and it imbues her with Earth. You see the kind of problem here? So this is going to add Earth element to you, which you don't really want, because her best damage is fire with her either 150 or her 180 amplify. And if you're mixing Earth element to her, that's obviously going to dilute the amplify. So that's kind of the conundrum here. So if you have a way to get rid of the Earth imbue without full dispelling her, you can go up to 970 modifier in Clash of Wills. Now, so most of these global exclusive amplifies like Sylvie, Malphase, Ayaka, Melissa, etc., all of these amplifies will remove your imbue for you. The problem is we don't have one for fire at the current time. So the only way you can make this work by removing the Earth imbue but keep the LB modifier is there's 2 ways currently in game. One way is to use Edward Elric on your team. He can remove imbues on demand. Obviously, you're not going to bring Elric just for a 70x modifier, but I'm just listening for completion's sake. Also, some bosses in Dark Visions will remove some of your buffs, but not all of them. Quite a few bosses in Dark Visions would do what's called partial dispels, where the boss will remove your stat buff, your killers, your imbues, and your cover. But the boss will not remove your amplifies and special buffs like modifier buffs. It's a very selective dispel. So sometimes in Dark Visions, the boss will selectively dispel you and remove this imbue for you and leave the 70x modifier. So sometimes in Dark Visions, depending on the boss, you can actually get a 690 modifier. Or at some point we get a global exclusive unit that does a AoE amplify like Sylvie, which would remove the imbue and add fire. Unfortunately, no one does that for fire quite yet. The JP 100 amplifies, like Leftia and all that, Leftia, Dark Lineage, Fina, stuff like that. Those will give you 100 amplifies to fire, but those don't remove your bad imbues. That's actually a global exclusive thing. But yeah. So really good unit, great support kit, great damage, smooth flexibility. She's got a lot of neat stuff. She's got the unique thing of permanent healing reduction down for the party. Her damage is phenomenal, and Clash of Wills literally the best currently available in the game. Also, keep in mind, this is a 750 leader skill. If in the future we get a Clash of Wills fire unit with a 900 leader skill, she's going even higher. So she does seem to have a decent shelf life. And in Dark Visions, she's already decent in Dark Visions and only getting better. Because, she's going to someday get a better leader skill. And then some bosses, she can increase her modifier to 690 in Dark Visions. She gears really easily. And this support kit is so nice. It's really a lot of nice stuff. The only nitpick I would give is, again, it's going to seem a little tedious to micromanage your cooldowns with the haste ability to make these 4-turn, 3 duration skills line up perfect at time. You're going to have to really either map out your turns on paper or just be very, very observant of the actions you do per turn. Which is, whatever. Many people would say what's a good way to say it? Like a high skill ceiling unit, I guess is the way to say it, is a good thing. And it is. You're rewarded for using the unit correctly, even though they're complicated to use in some cases. Or, whatever. Anyway, I am huge thumbs up, very, very happy, and that is not just my bias for liking Parasite Eve. Saying that, I think the unit is wonderful. I am very pleased with this unit. Absolutely pulling for her on day one. And that'll be tomorrow. Also, tomorrow, again, I'm going to be attempting to live stream Clash of Wills. So that'll be tomorrow, depending on what time the server comes up, how long pulls take, how long cleanup after the pulls take. I'm not sure when the stream will go up, but at some point tomorrow I will be streaming, and I do know people probably prefer like a set schedule for streaming, but I just stream on the fly. But yeah, Brea. Really, really nice unit. I am so glad that the global team, took feedback about their recent unfortunates like, Ellis Spears, etc. And they made a good unit, and really good unit. Can't wait to pull for her. See you guys tomorrow.